Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the half, or as we often call it when one of the hosts is gone, the quarter. My name is Eric Campbell, and you can find me, as you can see, at erichcampbell.com. But today, I am here to represent myself and, of course, Aaron Montgomery, who is off teaching at Sublimation Summit this morning. So if you guys have questions or comments or want to join in with anything that we're talking about today, Q&A, especially, hey, while embroidery is usually our topic, while Aaron is gone, I can play. Although I'm still in the producer headset from Two Regular Guys, I can definitely talk about embroidery, talk about e-commerce, talk about any of those topics that you want to discuss. So feel free to derail me, ask questions, provide your comments, and jump in on the live quarter today. Suffice it to say, it's been kind of a busy morning. We had a wonderful session with Jay Bassell on the Two Regular Guys this morning. And I think that as we usually do, we do a little recap of the Two Regular Guys. If you don't know about the other show, Two Regular Guys Talking Decoration, you probably should. But today we had a wonderful guy, Jay Bassell, who you may know from his just immaculate trainings on LinkedIn and from his varied career from working in the graphic side of apparel decoration through becoming the marketing guru that he is today. And like I said, fantastic show today on the Two Regular Guys talking about kind of the way we share socially. So it's more than just social media. I hate to just say it's social media, but the way we share socially. So I thought I'd kind of bring some of that stuff up, discuss what's going on with that, and talk to the folks who are here. But yeah, we'll start out with kind of a 2RG recap, and we'll talk about the wonderful Jay Bassell and his concept of attention grabbing versus intentional sharing. So attention versus intention is really what he talked about. But before we get into that, we do have a couple other bits of business. First things first, for those of you who have already said hi, I'm going to say hi to you folks as well. All of you live listeners are welcome to jump into the comments. Ramona coming on saying, good morning. So glad because 2RG was awesome. Absolutely. Jay was on fire today. If you didn't see that, go back to the Two Regular Guys page and check that out. You cannot get a more concise way to craft your own business social media posts than I think what Jay presented. Now, I will go ahead and recap that slightly in a minute here and give you a little bit of it, but worth your hour, absolutely. Worth your hour. And Frank from out in the UK, always an awesome member of the community and a sharer and educator in his own right, who is out there sharing and making his own groups of communities. Frank, good afternoon to you. Happy to have you in. And Tom Farr, also wonderful educator in the embroidery world. Good morning, Tom. Happy to have you in as well. But like I said, if you're here live and you want to talk about anything that we're talking about today, or just ask questions, share. We're going to do our weekly wins and our challenges and Q&A like we always do. We may have the rest of this 30 minutes together today on, like I said, the quarter, since I am filling in for both myself and Aaron. But without any further ado, I want to say one more little bit of business. We have a thank you. You guys know that we have a little page, Ko-fi.com, coffee, if you want to call it that, is where people tip people. It's one of those websites where you kind of can tip people for what they do. And Ko-fi.com/the half is where we have our tip jar. And I want to thank Donna Schwartz. So thank you to Donna Schwartz for being in there and providing us with one of our cups of coffee this morning. So thank you very much for providing that and helping out. That's something I usually don't share. It's not like something we're trying to share or do for you, but if you see the coffee page, it looks like this. This is where that link is. And thank you so much for contributing to the half. So if you want to see it, also go ahead and change the QR code up there on the right-hand side. Very briefly, that's the page for it. If you ever wanted to give us a tip, that's where it is. But the thing is, you don't need to give us a tip. You should just be here. The thing that we benefit from the most is you sharing with us. All right. So thank you again. And good afternoon to Chuck, who just came in as well. All right. With that, let's talk about the recap. We had the awesome Jay Bassell of flexpoint.com. He is also the marketing manager of Equipment Zone, where Terry Combs, other co-host of Two Other Guys, also works. And he came in talking about attention versus intention. And in this case, he was talking about how we share on social media, also how we promote ourselves in general, but very tightly kind of connected to social media. And in this case, are we doing things that are just out there to get attention, or do we have a certain intentionality? Are we sharing with intention to try and make something happen with a particular community? And I think that's the thing. We talk about target markets, but I loved how Jay used the word community instead. And there's a few things that he came across with. Number one, that yes, we all kind of came into the social media game and people said, hey, don't sell. But social selling is a real thing for businesses. We have to understand that if we are in this to be in business, that there is a high chance we're trying to sell something, but we can't have this entire disproportionate imbalance between like what we're doing to just get attention or what we're doing to just sell and having these marketing posts versus what we're doing that are just interesting posts trying to get eyes on ourselves. And I think we kind of had this balance where people first started jumping into social media as businesses and saying, all right, I'm going to get out there and treat it like any other broadcast media. Like this is a radio spot, like this is a TV spot, like this is something I'm putting out for a magazine. I'm going to blast out just straight advertisements, normal, run of the mill, flyer level advertisements. And the truth of the matter is that really didn't fly very well with the social media world. So what did we tell everybody? And this is up to and including me, who kind of helped in this early social media flourishing of some of what happened in the decoration space, the apparel decoration space. We said, hey, don't sell so much. Kind of limit which one of your posts are selling posts. I think that's still very, very worthwhile to think about how much the percentage of posts that are just out there marketing something directly, throwing out a call to action to buy. I mean, it's worthwhile to limit those and not just be a continual broadcast. The thing is, we then said, okay, 80-20 or 90-10, make sure that the rest of them are all just content posts. And we kind of set something up that's a little bit of a false narrative. And Jay kind of put this out there. You can be out there making posts that just get random attention, that get eyes, that get views, but they don't do two things. They don't have intentionality where they don't aim at the community you're actually serving or the community that you're hoping is purchasing your product. And uh, they don't really have anything to do with that community and garner interaction. If the posts aren't interacted with, if people aren't sharing them or saving them, if they're not talking to you, asking questions, or it doesn't lead to some other interaction down the road, well, then just getting eyes on something, just managing to get something to work, it may not be the most important thing you can do with yourself. So attention versus intention in this space is saying, hey, are our posts just out there to put eyes on something? Are we just trying to get the numbers to go up? Are we just watching the vanity clicker say, yes, we've got more viewers. Yes, we have more people watching. Yes, we have more shares, more likes, whatever it is, depending on your particular platform? Or are we sharing with some kind of intention that lets people know who we are, that helps them to understand why they are part of our tribe, we're part of their tribe, there's something we can do for them? Or honestly, in business, what is it that we can do to solve a problem for them that then lets us exchange some value here, which ultimately we are trying to do? So this is what Jay kind of set up for us. And by the way, he's going to sell something related to this system eventually. When he publishes something, I will let you guys know, because I think it's well worth celebrating the people who have helped us get here. But he had a really great kind of system that he put together, this accelerator, this kind of personalized content accelerator he's doing. And here's the deal. He kind of laid this out in 4 categories. He said, take 4 columns and line these things up. Start out with personal attributes, things about yourself that are unique to your character, your person. And these can be the things that are not related to business. So if these are hobbies, if these are smaller kind of niche communities you belong to, things you're interested in, the kind of music, one of the ones I used to do back in the day, believe it or not, I had a lot of posts about making pour over coffee. I make pour over coffee every single morning for myself. All of my coffees are pour over. And I had a period of time, which I wish I would have stuck to it the way that Jay Bassell did with tacos. I made pour over coffee every single morning and I showed people how to do it. And there were lots of posts about me with coffee and gear and how to handle that stuff and blooming the grounds and all of that. And that was something that was part of my posting for a period of time. I've since not done that for a long time, but it was a personal thing that then I related to other things in the business. I'll talk about what I mean by that. We started these personal attributes, things that are about you, that are cultural to you. Secondarily, you have business values. And like Jay said, these things have to be more than just, oh, good customer service. What I always say about that is, hey, no patting yourself on the back. Treating customers like humans and delivering your work on time is just the barrier to entry. Like we have to treat them decently and we have to do good work. Otherwise, there's really no reason for them to buy at all. But we're talking about unique values, things that you have that are particular to your business. It's not really capabilities. In this case, it's more values. There are capabilities can be part of it, things that you can do that other people cannot or that you think are unique to you, and also things that you deeply hold as values your business can bring to a project. The third column being solutions. What kind of problems can you solve for someone? Do you solve and be ready to back those things up? And the last column being communities. When we take these 4 columns, we can get anything from each column. We take one thing from each of the columns and put together a connected post. It's easier for us to make an intentional post that is aimed at a community, a target audience, but target's not the word Jay liked to use, and I agree it's not the best use. An intentional community is probably the best way to put it. A community that we intend to address, and we say, all right, here's something from my personal world. Here's something that my business values that they can do. Here is a solution or a type of thing that we've done for people, solutions we can offer. And I'm telling this specifically in a way that pertains to a community or a target audience. So that's the thing. Those are the four columns that he had in his personal accelerator. Like I said, let's try and make one up on the spot. So if I flub at this, hey, it's me making up on the spot. But let's talk about my pour over coffee, right? So I put that together where I'm like, here's me making a pour over coffee and doing it right. It's sitting here at my desk and I'm showing you how to do all the steps. And then I say, you know what? I am meticulous. One of my business values is that I am meticulous with detail and I take very good care of detail and make sure that everything gets done right. So I can say, all right, here's me making my coffee, and you can see me with the tools pouring this coffee just right. But in the background, especially if we're doing this as a visual, are things from the embroidery world. There are color charts and there are run sheets, and you can see sample material sitting behind it. So you can see here I am making my coffee, and I will then go on and say, here's a solution. People come to me with art that's not ready for embroidery and trust that I will turn it into something that is the best embroidered result it can be. And I would also say, and let's talk about a specific community I used to serve, movies and TV. I would say costuming departments and designers come to me with art that's not ready to embroider, knowing that I'm going to provide them with the best meticulous representation of their art in embroidery that they need. I pay attention to detail just like I do every morning when I'm making my cup of coffee. Now we have a story that I've made out of those four things, and it's very easy to do. And I made that off the top of my head with no preparation whatsoever using Jay's system. So what I'm going to say is really awesome system. If you haven't checked out the episode, by all means, go back and check out the episode on the Two Regular Guys. So search the Two Regular Guys on any of these platforms on YouTube. Also, actually, if you're on my YouTube channel right now, which you may be, I will go ahead and link that in because when I host, I tend to put that on my guest hosting list. I have a playlist just for my guest appearances. I'll go ahead and put that on that playlist as well. Otherwise, you can check that out over the Two Regular Guys page. So grab that anywhere you grab our usual content. Search for Two Regular Guys podcast. You will find that Two Regular Guys talking decoration. In case there's somebody else on that channel that has a Two Regular Guys podcast. There's a couple people who have a similar name. But like I said, fantastic stuff from Jay. Once again, I'll run through those to four columns because I think they're so great. Attention versus intention. Remember that what he's talking about is, are we just getting attention for our post? Or are we trying to make something that actually communicates to a group of people we need to, that will help them want to engage with us and want to follow up with us? Personal attributes are fantastic ways for them to know more about us, and they can be those kind of attention grabbers that bring people into our space, say, that's somebody who I want to know more about. They seem interesting, but we can relate that to business values, the things that are important to our business, the things that we can offer that we think are unique about our business, that make working with us unique, the solutions that we think we can offer or that we know we can offer, that we can provide some backup for. This is the sort of thing we do that is pertinent to a particular community, and that we refer to that community like my customers in the wardrobe world know that I provide a meticulous version of their artwork for embroidery, just like I am with my coffee. I take time to get the details right. I mean, that story writes itself, and I think that his system is really awesome. So, well worth checking out Jay's system. Well worth checking out that episode. And like I said, I would really recommend you give that a shot when you can. All right. So with that coming in, got to say, got a couple more people who jumped in live. We have Silvio coming in. Hello, glad to catch you live. Glad to have you here as well. And we have Marianne coming in from Moss Embroidery in Santa Fe, New Mexico, a fellow New Mexican. Thank you for being here as well and jumping in. So I'd love to hear, do you guys feel like there's something there about attention versus intention in social media? Do you find it hard to find that balance as well? Or is it just something that, is interesting you in any other way? Do you find that you need that guide, or do you not? And if not, what do you use to kind of guide your posting online? I mean, the other thing is, honestly, this can apply to more than just social media posts. This can be your About You page on your website. This can be part of your elevator pitch. If you're trying to figure out an elevator pitch to give people, knowing where they are and the kind of communities you serve can really help with that too. Or are you like Carol here who just says, now I need to go make a pour over? Right? I'm having a hard time while I'm talking, not drinking my coffee because I'm sitting here right now going, I've got a lovely blonde roast pour over sitting right here that I would love to get to. But I'm trying to not do that considering I'm the only person talking today. I can't just jump out and grab some coffee. But yes, Carol, pour overs are fantastic. I will say what I need to do for an upgrade right now is I currently don't have a gooseneck kettle. You guys know what those are. I have an electric kettle that's lovely that I'm currently using, but I don't right now have a gooseneck. I think I need to get another gooseneck kettle so I can really control that pour. So yeah, if you guys want to know, if we ever want to do an episode of the half where I give out my ratios and talk about pouring coffee, I can. I am not a professional of any way, shape, or form, but I absolutely do take my coffee a little seriously, not majorly seriously. I have since known if you go on YouTube right now, there's a wonderful guy, an English fellow named James Hoffman. If you've never seen James Hoffman's content, it is super detailed content about coffee that is very much like the take up. He takes things seriously and gets down to the elemental level. You ever seen somebody putting coffee through a spectrometer? Well, that would be James Hoffman. I'm not James Hoffman, but I sure do make a decent cup when I try. All right. So we have a couple of other people who are jumping in. We've got Marianne actually giving us another story. She said, I'm the same way. I have turned away some embroidery because they want it like yesterday. I'm a perfectionist. I have to put all my mind and soul as my embroidery is my artwork. Yeah. And here's the thing, too. I think this is just absolutely the right way to think about these things. Um, though someone can say, like, oh man, you're turning away work. If your detail oriented work is more important to you and you can find a set of customers for whom that detail oriented take on things is really particularly desirable and valuable, it's highly likely that you can get more money and not be on that rush clock. Now, I'm going to admit, in the commercial world where I really came from, we kind of had to do both. We had to be on the rush, we had to do it with a detail level that was, precise, and we had to. That was actually that's probably our unique value from the place where I was working at the time, which is Black Duck out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was being able to do things quickly and precisely because we had the experience and we had everything internally. We had our entire shop with all of the things we needed for production internal. So it's one of those things, one stop shop with skilled design crew, in house digitizing, and we could do same day turns with detail orientation. Sure. But that's the thing. You don't have to have all of those things, or you can't be all those things to all people. And I'll also say this, we changed the balance of what was more important depending on the customer that was there. It's all about being intentional with how you share that stuff and who is your tribe. So it's one of those things, right? And I think I'll go ahead and go with Sylvia, but I absolutely agree. This is hard for all of us, myself included. I know for sure I need more consistency and regularity in posting social media. Right now, I think my most regular thing I'm doing is the take up and these shows, but I agree. Posting regularly is a little harder. I will say that having a system in place so that you don't have to do all the decision making in the beginning portion of getting this out helps. So having a system like Jay's system will at least let you have a moment to do what you need to do without having to have this headspace, this blank page effect of like, all right, I don't know at all where I'm going. You can stop and go, all right, I've got my 4 columns in front of me, and maybe it gets a little tired. I have to mix it up on and off, or I have to do a couple attention getting posts that are just me making a thing, me doing something cool, me going to an event. Fine. But having that kind of framework when you come to the blank page and are lost can be very helpful. So another thing is just think about the attention versus intention. Why am I sharing this, and who do I want to see it? And try to address them and bring them in. So wonderful stuff there. But yeah, we have a couple more comments here. Mary says, I must have a spoon rest for my spoon. All right. That's part of it. Hey, I talked about the gooseneck kettle. And Mike says, that's some Breaking Bad level coffee detail. Yeah, I'm not exactly cooking. But yeah, I try to do my coffee correctly. I do. I will say I cheat. I don't use a traditional cone style setup. I'm using a Melita right now, which controls the drip. But but hey, I could be using a Hario or V60 or something else. But suffice it to say, I won't go coffee deep right now. I'm not going to go right deep into the coffee stuff. I will leave a little bit of time for other stuff today. But Sunrise Tactical Gear says, good morning from Washington State. Brew my coffee at home on a Techniform Mocha Master. Beautiful. Techniform. If you haven't seen these, Wonderful kind of mid-century design, beautiful cone style basket. They brew very much like a pour over. Fantastic if you're going to have a coffee machine. When did this turn into the coffee podcast? I'm sorry, guys. I mean, when coffee is a deep part of your life, and as someone who is, I also suffer from migraines. I just, if you guys may not know this, I control my migraines through caffeine and lighting. So sometimes I have to be very careful. I'm serious about making sure coffee is present all the time. I'll put it that way. But yeah, Ramona's like, "Hey, I have a Mr. Coffee drip. They work fine. My wife has a Mr. Coffee, and I optimize as much as I can before it gets there." And Mike says, "I like my coffee crisp, otherwise it's gross." Yeah, I'm in it. I like it. It works for me. Brand new, fresh cups of coffee, done well. Love it. Like-minded group, absolutely. Hey, coffee's life. I have coffee embroidery designs that I have done before. In fact, I was one of my favorite things I ever did that was just a random design. I did one for a coffee plantation where we had coffee cherries with leaves in like a little setup with the text on this dad hat, and I held on to that dad hat because I just love that thing. If you don't know, coffee cherries are what the coffee bean is inside of. Look it up; it's really interesting stuff. But let's get beyond coffee today. I will stop with the coffee talk for a minute. We do have a couple other things. We usually do our weekly wins and our challenge and Q&A. So first, if you guys have wins for the week, no matter if they feel small to you or not, if they are related to decoration or to e-commerce or anything or not, please feel free to share your weekly wins and we will celebrate them with you today. I actually have I've got a couple of weekly wins. I've got a goofy one that's just a Eric the homeowner weekly win. And then I have one that's more related to business that I will have to kind of be a little controlled on how much I share about everything that's going on. But some interesting stuff that I've worked on as well that I would love to share and may have to kind of reduce a little bit of how much I tell you. But let's go ahead and start with the first weekly win. First one is Goofy Eric the homeowner win. Though I have built and made things many times in my life, there are certain places where I just felt uncomfortable working on stuff. And I did some plumbing this week on my own, which is something I usually don't do. But I had to rebuild, as much as it sounds goofy, a toilet tank float and a cutoff valve in our main bathroom. And I turned off the main water and did all that stuff and rebuilt the valve and rebuilt the stem and the valve seat and all that, and then put in an entirely new kit and refabbed the toilet. Yes, that is a goofy thing. That sounds like here I am, a professional who does all of this other stuff, and I'm bragging about rebuilding a toilet. But here's the deal: if it's something that was living in your headspace and bothering you that you were concerned about and you got over your fear of it or got over whatever hangups you had about it and got it done, hey, that's a win. The other thing I'm going to say is if you were a 6'4" human like me and managed to snake your way behind that counter and get it all done, you'll understand that it was actually a little bit of effort as well. Most of it having to do it one-handed since I couldn't fit myself in between all of the fixtures. But hey, that's my one weekly win. The other one is I made something kind of randomly. I made a couple of assets for the folks at Imbrilliance. You guys know I showed it to them. It was something that was showed to Brian Bailey, who is the head and CEO and creator of Imbrilliance. I showed him this set of assets that I worked on. It was something I just did in my spare time because I felt like the world kind of might like it, might need it, didn't know where it was going to go, and he was very impressed with it and said, "Hey, this is something that might be a product." So I can't really show you a bunch of it. Let's just say I made some cool assets that may be coming out in the near future and maybe get expanded into a small pack of assets for you guys. So you may like some of this kind of interesting combination of the new, the old, the trendy, and the historical that might be coming out. So I won't tell you anything else. Suffice it to say, that was a major win for me because I always love when there's a synergy between something that I feel the decoration world is asking for, and when people like Brian, whose judgment I trust and who knows a lot about business on multiple ends, different places that I don't know, different markets that I don't know, says that something I put together was worthwhile, and that was very cool. So love it, right? Love that we win. So if you got a couple wins, we have a couple to share, and so we're going to go ahead and work on that too. So we're going to talk about that, but let's go ahead and grab a couple weekly wins from people who are here, and then we'll get into the challenges and questions. So we have Marianne saying, my weekly wins went through customer old files, contacted them from 10 files, got 4 repeat clients coming back. Wonderful. It is always easier to sell into your existing clients who've tipped before, who trust you, than it is to acquire new business. Go mine those old client files, folks. Follow up is so important, and we forget this important detail 100%. Go back into your old client files. If there's somebody who hasn't ordered from you for a while, just check in on and see how they're doing. You don't even have to frame it like a sale. Just go, hey, I noticed you haven't ordered from us for a while. I wanted to see it. Is there anything I can do for you to either bring you back, or is there something that you need? Fantastic way to go for it. And then Mike says, it was more than a week ago, but I'm still pretty proud of my cap stabilizer dispenser discovery. Currently planning some parts to make it capable of handling a full roll. Yeah, he made an absolutely awesome dispenser, like a tear-off dispenser, very much like a tape gun or a tape machine for cutting off rolled cap stabilizer. So awesome stuff, Mike. Love it. Love to see people innovating in that space, and so fantastic. Yeah, if you use cap stabilizer and rolls, especially if you're somebody who sometimes does front panels and sometimes does full cylinders around on 270s or wide formats, working from roll stock is always a pain, but having a dispenser like Mike's put together is great. Don't know where that is on your page. Feel free to share it if you want to share the link to the video. But yeah, very cool stuff, Mike. So awesome. Thank you for sharing. Sylvia says, I managed to finish a big order in time this week and also finish working on my lavender field and going to your regular job. Man, I'm gonna give you a clap on that one. I understand that was. We had a lot of that kind of stuff in the house around here this week. We had to work on a bunch of stuff in our yard, as well as, like I said, two plumbing emergencies and a drywall job that I had to work on this week. I have to pick at them when I have time, but I'm with you. That is the real thing. Doing your job and doing your embroidery and getting everything together. I have definitely done that side hustle grind before, and I very much respect that. So Sylvia, thank you for that. Oh, and here's Mike. Mike did go ahead and put out the link. So if you want to check out that cap dispenser or cap stabilizer dispenser, go check that out. So that is in the comments for you now. If you haven't seen it, check it out here. And we also have, now we're going to get into our challenges, might as well, because we've got a little hiccup here. Here's challenges and Q&A. So any challenges you have, or if there's a question that you think that I can answer for you, whether it's, like I said, embroidery, digitizing e-commerce, feel free. But let's go ahead and grab a comment, because we have Ramona jumping in saying, how about a hiccup? I broke the number 2 needle shaft of my new machine. Yep, hit the hoop. Silly me, but I'm sure it's an easy fix. Oh man, if you haven't crashed a hoop before, it is always an eventful time. Snapping off a reciprocator or clinker, depending on what machine you're on, who says it to you, or having to deal with a bent or broken needle shaft, or bending the pressure foot. Man, it's always hard. It makes you want to beat yourself up, but good to know that it's not going to be a hard fix for you, and also good to remember that all of us have done something like it. I mean, one of the other sides of this, we've all had some sort of accident, whether it's the classics. The classics for embroidery are, we've hooped something and some other part of the garment is underneath the hoop and has now been stitched together. If you haven't done that, you probably haven't embroidered very much. Hitting yourself with a needle, I will cross all my fingers and knock on wood. I've never dinged a finger with the needle. I haven't had the real thread tattoo just yet, but I know lots of friends who are currently carrying pieces of needle in their bones. And certainly there's lots of people dealing with all manner of breakage, or breaking a hoop, hitting a hoop, breaking the clinker, um, having a hoop come loose, not tightening down your arm, having, the other one I've done before too, snap off a couple needles to rethread the needle, set it up, think I threaded the right one, and instead I've actually threaded the incorrect needle, or put the incorrect needle on the machine and ran out the foot of thread that was still through there, that was snapped off in the back. And so now I not only have emptied the thread path and can't tie on with a weaver's knot, I also have used the wrong color and have to start over with a color change. I've done that one a couple times. And as a digitizer, the other big classic one for me, copied and paste a letter and leave 2 copies of it in the original location. So now I have a big, thick, ugly letter somewhere in my text. That's a classic. It happens for sure. Okay, we have a couple more, and Mike says, diagnosing a bent needle bar was the most satisfying fix I've done yet. That was a mystery. Yes, things are not entirely broken, but just off. That is always a difficulty to deal with. And Carol says, I actually managed to stitch the foot into the project on a single needle. Once again, I will give you the ironic golf clap, but hey, we've all done it. Don't feel bad. At least you are among friends who have also gone through the same kind of challenges. I'd say for me this week, the challenge is just time. Lots of things going on, lots of projects, and as you guys know, always doing e-commerce at the same time as doing everything else means balancing them all together. And I think for me, my big challenge that I need to work on in this next coming week is priorities. So thinking about priorities, making sure I'm consistent on all of the different things I do so that the overall marching line of projects keeps all going up instead of just having one project take the advance all the time. I need to work on that some myself. So if you're in that boat, hey, chime in and feel free to commiserate with me. We'll work on our priorities together. And Ramona said, oh my God, duplicate elements. I just saved myself from that today. Yep, do the pre-flight, folks. If you're digitizing, when you get done doing your digitizing, rewatch your design run, make sure that it's going right, do the slow replay, whatever it's called in your software, on the final stitch file, reopen that sucker and watch it play out before you run it to the machine. You too can save yourself from copy and paste errors. All right, with that, since there's no one to cut off today, we're just going to go ahead and end the half in a nice way. Thank you guys for being here, for enjoying this quarter, and I hope you have a great week to come. See you next week, folks.